Let's take a look at HR. You know, I've been in HR for a long time. I've seen the ups and downs of HR. I started my career in 1978, a time when the reputation of HR then was the place where you dumped the failures of the organization. Then you failed in life, you go to HR. Okay? From that stage, you know, HR has continuously reinvented itself. Okay, that's why it's still around. Reinvented and continues to reinvent itself until now it's a career of choice. Now, I'm going to give you in a few minutes, the entire history of HR and see how things have really evolved and how HR has reinvented itself. But first of all, let me share with you this framework. I like sports, I like boxing. Okay, I'm sure many of you do. I never missed any Pacquiao fight. It was in this one fight, I don't know if you remember. His opponent was named Crotty. Remember? I don't know, I might not remember. Anyway, after that fight, this guy Crotty was so joyous, even if he lost. He said, you know, I'm so happy Pacquiao did not knock me down. He was such a very good defensive boxer, so he was able to avoid the knockout punch of Pacquiao, and he was so happy about it. That really was his victory. Then all of a sudden it dawned on me. While it's good, while defensive is good, it can get you out of trouble, but it cannot make you win. That insight, I tried to transfer it and say, because I was the executive director of TeamUp at the time, I needed to explain HR work in simple terms. So that inspired me to formulate this framework called the defensive and the offensive HR. And this is Philippine made, by the way. You cannot find this in the books. Okay? Defensive HR. Another term we know is transactional administrative HR. Okay? Let's take a look at this. 3 C's. Compliance, controls, consistency. Okay? Compliance starts with compliance. This entire thing is about compliance, really. Compliance there is about external compliance. When our HR is that stage where we do a lot of records keeping, because records are important for external compliance, especially if we want to comply with the labor laws and all the regulations, okay, that are present in our industry. So that is what compliance is all about, external compliance, labor laws. The challenge here is there's the growing regulations. In some sectors, growing regulations. Like we do some work in the government sector, CSC, DBM regulates government agencies. If you're in the banking sector, banks and card regulates. They have a lot of rules and regulations that you need to comply. If you don't comply, you get into trouble. Now, controls is also about compliance, but internal compliance. Here's where we have this passion and penchant for making rules, discipline, you know. It is as if everyone is erring, you know, but we do that only for a small percentage of people. But something really happened in the control stage. The Enron case all of a sudden changed the landscape in terms of our wanting to control the conduct of behavior of everyone in the organization. Because for the first time in Enron, we said even the highest officials can do wrongdoing. Can do serious wrongdoing and can have serious repercussions as far as the organization. That's why we got involved in business conduct, ethics. Ethics is a big word these days. Okay, probably the role of HR is what are you going to do if it's your president who's committing a wrongdoing? Okay, that's probably what happened in the world. What did HR do? Can HR do something? Should HR do something? This is ethical leadership, right? So ethics is a big word as far as control is concerned. And then we go into consistency. This is where we get passionate about policies and procedures. We want to do things better. We want to administer the leaves properly. Service efficiency is the name of the game. So if you take a look at roles within these three C's, compliance is a record-keeping role, control is a police role, and consistency is a service provider role. For the first time, when we get into consistency, we want to come up with policies so that we can be fair and we can be efficient. And the challenge here is with the growing numbers of millennials, there are new demands, the more efficient services these people demand from HR. So if you start to take a look at everything, if you do a good 3C's job, the only thing you manage to do is get out of trouble. Just like thought, the oxygen. Okay? Now the question to you is this enough HR work? The answer is definitely no. Okay? It may get us out of trouble, but it may not get us a win. To win, we need to take a look at another frame. Probably I wanted to use the other term, HR on the offensive, because offensive HR can mean something else. HR on the offensive. Another term for this, and we've been shouting this since the 1990s, strategic HR. Okay. My first lesson to strategic HR came early in my career when I attended a conference in Hong Kong back then. And there was this panel discussion among three CEOs. I remember very vividly. And they were talking about how good HR was. They were all praises for their own HR, they did this, they did that, and so on and so forth. And all of a sudden, I took some courage to ask a question from the floor. And my question was, very simple. I asked, if HR is so good, as you claim, has there been any time in your organizations when the president came from HR? All of a sudden there was silence. And all of a sudden one CEO said, no, never. And then I asked why not. So the answer I got was because HR does not know the business. That statement stuck in my mind. From then on I said, if only HR could know the business, then we can be presidents. Simple, exactly. And so from then on a personal level, what did I do? I got interested in strategic planning. Because I thought that was a function that was going to get you to understand the business. And true enough, it was a good entry point to understand the business. Now, when we take a look at offensive HR, we need to see that all of a sudden the key word here is not compliance. The key word is integration. And take a look at how integration plays out here. The three A's. Availability, alignment, adaptability. Three A's. And they all, when you do them well, they all contribute to providing business value. Okay? Availability. Let's take a look at that. And we'll have more discussions later on that. Okay? Availability is about workforce planning. We talk about headcount management, capability planning. We talk about employment branding. The challenge in availability is getting the right talent for your business. The right talent. Not any talent. The right talent for you. The right person on the bus in the right seats at the right time. Alignment is about managing people. And there's integration that happens at two levels. Integrating the HR functions and integrating the good people management practices. The functions will be very critical. Three functions that need to be working closely together. PMS, L&D, and R&R. Performance Management System, rewards and recognition, and learning and development. The problem is, in a lot of organizations, they're not talking to each other. Okay? They are disintegrated. So things that need to go together because they are so much, they need to reinforce each other. The power of integration. The other level of integration is in the people management practices, the way actually managers manage their people. They need to align them, to develop them, to empower them. They need to align them with interesting goals, exciting goals. They need to develop them, and they need to empower them, to set them free to achieve those goals. Adaptability is about change and innovation, and the key word in adaptability is organization capability. All of a sudden, we bring talent management, which is availability coming into the adaptability stage, and all of a sudden you say, I am now a creator of organizational capability. And capability to me is execution. If your HR can build an organizational capability, it can assure the execution of your strategies in the organization. The integration of formulation and execution happens here as far as adaptability is concerned. So all of them really contribute to value. So, in the end, last 2 minutes probably, balance. It's not an either-or thing. We need to have a balance. We need to have a balance, but the balance is going to be defined by you. Because your balance depends on your business challenges and your business priorities. And that could be different from company A to company B. Okay? Now, the last slide. 3 steps I propose that you undertake. Diagnose your own practices. Where you are on the 3 C's and the 3 A's. And I'd like to suggest a very simple process for you. When you go back to your offices, you ask your HR teams to log down their activities hour by hour for the next week. When you collect that, you try to reference that into the 3 C's, into the 3 A's. And if you don't like what you see in terms of the balance, because probably it's more of defensive rather than offensive, or something like that, then you create your balance. How do you create the balance? You have to know the business, you have to know your future business challenges, and then you ask the question, what is the proper balance for us in this particular area? And then finally, you make the action. Make that investment in building your own HR capability. This is probably where a lot of people still stop. But again, let's remember the phrase, there's a lot of business case to do this. So in the end, I'd like to say, if you do all of this, you can imagine an organization where HR leaders and professionals are respected and admired as co-leaders. You can imagine an organization where it builds good people. And as we say in investment people, because good people make a great business. Thank you.